Every day when I wake up in the morning, I see the sky and I think about the things that you've made. All the beauty and your glory is showing, yeah. It never bores me to look at the ocean. The waves are crashing, the water spraying up in my face. I look above and all the seagulls are soaring, yeah. We've got to overcome the darkness, so we don't get caught in the middle, between the hopeful and the heartless. So, hello, good day, good morning, I just can't stop smiling, because today is a brand new day, and all the darkness and the pain is just fading behind me. Oh Lord, what a beautiful day. All the planets surround me, the way they orbit just boggles my mind, the way the sun keeps on shining, yeah. We got to overcome the darkness, so we don't get caught in the middle, between the hopeful and the heartless. So, hello, good day, good morning, I just can't stop smiling, because today is a brand new day, and all the darkness and the pain is just fading behind me. Oh Lord, what a beautiful day. There's nothing to fear, it'll be okay. It's the day that the Lord has made. It's the day that the Lord has made. There's nothing to fear, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. It's the day that the Lord has made. That the Lord has it's made. The day that the Lord has made. That the Lord has made. So, hello, good day, good morning, I just can't stop smiling, because today is a brand new day, and all the darkness and the pain is just fading behind me. Oh Lord, what a beautiful day.
Good day, gentlemen. Welcome to Friday with the Fellas. I love it. I love it. Mike Heath says it's, what did you say it was? 10 degrees Celsius outside. If my Google search got that right, it's 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, it's -8 Fahrenheit where I'm at today. And Anthony, I think your quote of the day deserves to be read here. For God wished, this is by Saint Clement, you said, for God wished women to be smooth and rejoice in their locks alone, growing spontaneously as a horse in his mane, but has adorned men like the lions with a beard, and endowed him as an attribute of manhood with a shaggy chest, a sign of strength and rule. That's so funny. Very good. Very good. Well, yes. I don't know if this would qualify as the right size beard, but anyway, we are here. Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Keith, and the rest of you. We are talking manhood. Glad you're with us today. Tell some brothers that you know that might benefit from talking about these things. Tell them to join us next Friday. All right, so we're made to build stuff. Did you play with Legos when you were a kid? It is fascinating to watch how little boys, especially, just so easily gravitate toward Legos, and you don't really have to teach them typically how to. Lon says it's testosterone time. That would have been a good title too. Anyway, with my son, I didn't have to teach him how to build with Legos. He just naturally went to it, and my girls were interested for a little bit, and then kind of went off somewhere. Well, we're made to build stuff. I'm going to show you this from the scripture. Last night, the guys from my fellowship, our fellowship, we get together on Thursday nights, and some nights we study and talk. Sometimes we go work on people's homes and take care of some of the single gals and so on. Last night was just a fun night. We went to a place called Overdrive. I don't know if that's a chain. Do y'all have Overdrives? It's a indoor go-kart arena. There are 2 levels, and these things rip along pretty fast. I think they get up to like 40 or 45 miles an hour. And my my forearms are actually kind of sore this morning from driving. I was thinking, I don't know how these professional race car drivers do it. A couple hundred miles an hour for hours. The intensity, it was crazy. It was a lot of fun. So manly stuff to do, right? Well, as we were driving home, I don't even remember how we were listening. My son and I were listening to a song that he's working on. For those of you newer around here, that song that I play on the opening time on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. If you're on listening to this via podcast, you don't get to hear the song. But the song I play while everyone's jumping in is a song my son wrote and we produced. It's called Beautiful Day, and it's on an album that we produced earlier this year called Looking Back at Tomorrow. So we were listening to a new song for a new album we're working on, and we came across the original recording, the original idea of that song, Beautiful Day. And let's just say it's come a long way. The final product that we put on the album was very much different from what we started with. But over time, we produced it, we made it better, and then put it on the album. And we listened to that. So we listened to the original, and then we listened to the finished product, and we listened to a couple of other songs on the album, which we haven't listened to for a while. If you've ever been a part of something like this, when I was mixing and mastering the album, by the time I got done, I had listened to all those songs, I don't know, hundreds of times, and I was just sick of them. So it's kind of fun to go back and listen. And here's the thing, as we were listening to some of the songs, there was just this sense of pride and satisfaction in both of us. Like, we did that. We took the raw materials of notes and instruments and put them all together into this final form that we're pretty proud of. And the song Beautiful Day, it's been played in over 100 countries. And one of the songs on the album called A Lost Heart just kind of took off a couple weeks ago, and it's gotten, 60 or 70,000 views on Vivo and YouTube. That's pretty cool just to look at that. We did that. We made that. And that satisfaction is God-given. It's what we're supposed to do. In fact, the actual title of the job that takes the raw music ideas and pulls it all the way through to the final product, that's the person that does that is called the producer. Well, we co-produced this. We made it. As a man, you are called to make stuff. Called is not even the right word. We are designed for this. We are made for this. This is what we want to do naturally. So let me ask, what are you making? What are you producing? Can you look back at something in the last week, last month, last year? We're coming to the end of 2022 here. Can you look back at something in 2022 that you produced, that you made? If you have something that comes right to the top of your list, tell us about it. Put it in the chat there. We'd love to see that. Let me show you how this is man's design. And here I'm talking particularly about males. Certainly, women participate in this as well, but males are designed with this inherent desire and ability to make things. Now, last week we talked about work and cultivating, which is another word for producing, and ruling and subduing, and that's God made this world to be inhabited, and what that means. He made this planet for us to live. Well, so the two fundamental commands given at the very beginning of everything is rule and subdue, right? Multiply, I should say, and then rule and subdue. So look at Genesis 4 here. You probably know Genesis 4 because of Cain and Abel. And that's the main point. Cain's sin in killing his brother. But there's some things implied, just sort of assumed in the story, that apply to manhood that I want to draw out. So we're not going to talk about the sin and all that, but I want you to see the manhood, creativity, all this implied here. So first of all, Genesis 4 begins with the man, Adam, knew his wife, or here it says had relations with his wife, so he had sex with her, and she conceived and gave birth to Cain. So this is after the fall. So they've sinned. God has cursed them, Adam and Eve, and sent them out of the garden, but they did not stop doing what God told them to do. So the fall did not mitigate, didn't what's the word I'm looking for? Didn't undo, didn't make it invalid to fulfill their designed purpose. It just now made it harder. So the first thing they did is they had kids. They multiplied, they reproduced. That's what they were called to do. Verse 2 says, again, she, Eve, gave birth to his brother Abel. Now notice this. Abel was a keeper of flocks, and Cain was a tiller of the ground. So Abel was a shepherd, and Cain was a farmer, something like that. Where did they learn how to do this? Well, we're not told, are we? What I suspect happened was Adam had learned farming and shepherding, and Cain and Abel grew up learning how to do it as well, or maybe they all learned it together. In other words, I don't see anything in the scripture that says God just plopped this know-how in their minds. Maybe he did, but it's also possible that they learned how to do it through trial and error. They learned to cultivate and produce from the ground and from the animals the way we continue to learn how to do things. That's what makes most sense to me. And here's the way I see it. Picture it is Adam, through trial and error, through decades and decades. Remember, he lived to be 930 years old, and we don't know at what point the fall came. We don't have any of that information. He could have been 500 years old for all we know. But he, as we talked about, I think it was last week, God gave Adam a head start. Right? He gave him plants that already had fruit on it and animals that were full grown. But Adam had to figure it out. How do I rule and subdue this earth? How do I reproduce these things? And Cain and Abel come along and they learn as well. And there's a division of labor right there at the beginning. Abel, you take care of the animals. Cain, you take care of the farm. So man's a producer from the get-go. And then we get the sin here. It came about in the course of time. Cain brought an offering to the Lord of the fruit of the ground. Abel brought his. God had regard for Abel's. Cain got angry, and he killed his brother, and God judged him for it. So I'm going to again skip this stuff, because even though that's the main point of the story, for our purposes, I want to get down to here, verse 12. So this is God pronouncing his curse on Cain. So Keith says he lost sound. Did anybody else lose sound? Have you all lost me? Am I gone? Hello. On my end, everything looks like it's supposed to be good. Could you all give me a thumbs up? Okay, some indication that you're still hearing what I'm saying. All right, so Cain is cursed here. When you cultivate the ground, it will no longer yield its strength to you. Lon says it's still good. Okay, good. So the assumption here, you see what the assumption is? Cain is going to continue to cultivate the ground. Even in his sin, even in his murder of his brother, as God curses him, punishes him, the divine mandate as a man to Cain, the instruction, the expectation of Cain as a man has not changed. You're still going to cultivate the ground. You are still called to produce. and subdue this earth and make it fruitful, but it's not going to yield its strength to you. It's going to be hard work for you, Cain, because of your work. Because of your sin. All right, so he goes on. We have the curse of Cain and all that. Now I want to skip down to verse 17. Now Cain had relations with his wife. He had sex with his wife, and she conceived. Even under the curse, even this sinful man continues to fulfill the design of manhood. He has sex with his wife. That's part of it. If you've watched my series on the 7 core responsibilities of man, making love is one of them. We'll talk about that sometime. He does that, and she conceives and gives birth to Enoch. And what did he do? He built a city. Cain built a city, and he called the name of the city Enoch after the name of his son. You see this? We're made to build things. Is just what we do as men. And Cain, fallen Cain, murderer Cain, cursed Cain, evil, wicked Cain, still does what men do. He had sex. He had a child. He built a city. That's ruling. That's subduing. Evil, wicked men do this, have been doing it for millennia. It's what we do. I can't remember if I mentioned this in this context last week or what, but I look at Elon Musk, who of course is making all kinds of ripples in the world with his takeover of Twitter. And I don't know if you're on Twitter to see what's happening, as he suspended some of the libs last night, and the hissy fit they're throwing is just so funny. Just laugh at it. This is great. Just laugh. Their hypocrisy exposed and all that. But in addition to that genius move, which the man knows how to garner some attention, he, as an unbelieving man, is a pretty amazing builder. Are you familiar with his company, The Boring Company? We know Musk from the Tesla, of course, and maybe the rockets and Skylink, but he's got, I don't know, maybe one of the most important things he's doing is The Boring Company. You should look it up. It's fascinating. But he's busy building stuff because that's what men do. That's what we're called to do, and he does it. So Enoch was born Irad. Irad became the father of these guys and Lamech, and he decides that he can be more efficient and takes 2 wives. But here's where I'm going to go. Ada gave birth to Jabal. He was the father of all those who dwell in tents and have livestock. Do you see what's implied here? He rules and subdues, he improves, he builds tents and teaches his children and others to build tents so they can move out away from where the others are and find new pastures, I assume. So again, the point is implied, inherent here in this design gene that we have as men to build, to rule, to take charge of this earth. This man starts building tents and creating this sort of nomadic lifestyle. His brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all those who play the lyre and the pipe. He's one of my favorite. Right? He invented musical instruments, apparently. How did that come about? A lyre, a pipe? Did he find a little hollow stick somehow and start blowing on it and noticed it was making a noise? I'm fascinated. A lyre is sort of the great grandfather of the guitar, which is the instrument that I'm trained in mostly. Here, way back in the beginning of of manhood, music and musical instruments are created, all the way down to the sophisticated music. Last Sunday night, my family went to hear this band, not a pop band, rock band, but trombones and tubas and saxophones and such, clarinets, oboes, the full orchestra without the stringed instruments, and they played Christmas tunes. Oh, it's beautiful. It's wonderful. All these different pipes of different sizes that we've learned to bring different sounds out of, and made beautiful music. It was wonderful. It started here with Jubal. Jubilee, I believe, comes from his name. Singing, dancing, all of this. It's part of what we do as men. I think it's wonderful. One more. As for Zillah, she also gave birth to Tubal-Cain, the forger of implements of bronze and iron. So now, again, at the beginning, way back, the early men of God's creation took these metals, these elements and hard substances, bronze and iron, and they started making more out of them and building stuff with them. It's what we do as men. I see a comment here. Peter says, oops, get back to where I'm supposed to be. Here we go. All right. I've heard that building a city actually went against God's command to populate the whole world because they stayed in the same place and settled. Does the scripture say that anywhere? I'm not aware of that. It seems to me like it's just over time. I don't know. I don't see that in the scripture. We know that, of course, the Tower of Babel, that was evil, but I think they were specifically told it's because they were trying to make a name for themselves, that kind of thing. So I don't see that, Peter. So what are you building? What are you building? I want to just come back to one statement. Maybe we'll come back and look at this more in depth next week, but I want to bring this full circle to what I started with. In Ecclesiastes, and I did verse by verse through Ecclesiastes a year ago, and I would encourage every man to watch that series. Ecclesiastes has a lot to say for us as men, and especially in light of where we are as a culture today. But Solomon says this: there's nothing better for a man than to eat and drink and tell himself, and that's poorly worded in English because it sounds like he's just lying to himself, but the Hebrew is more like causing his soul to see that his labor is good. This is also, I've seen it, is from the hand of God. Now again, there's a whole context here, and maybe next week we'll come back and look at this more in depthly, but there's nothing better for you as a man. Someone says there's nothing better than to eat, to drink, and tell yourself and be convinced. Again, it's not a lying. It's not a deceiving yourself. This is true, and you need to know this, that your labor is good. This is from the hand of God. Your labor is good. The produce of your hands is good. Now, the whole context of Ecclesiastes is if you don't recognize there's something beyond the sun, if you're not seeing that God is, and that he's going to bring all things into judgment and so on. And now we know that's all pointing toward Christ, and Christ owns everything, so we're working for Christ. If you don't have that, then it's all vanity. But that doesn't take away from the inherent desire we have to build stuff in this earth that belongs to King Jesus for his glory, for his kingdom, and to find satisfaction in doing it. We're not Gnostics. We're not, this whole dispensational idea of we're going to hell in a handbasket, and you come to Jesus and just hang on till the end and survive because this world is worthless. That is just not true. So what are you building, gentlemen? What are you making? And certainly where we're at today, we make things not just with our hands, not just with raw materials, but as I was describing earlier, my son and I made a whole album of songs from ones and zeros. Well, the guitar is real and other things are real, but you know what I mean? There's different ways you can create all kinds of things. You can create websites. You can, there's stuff for us to be making and take satisfaction in it. And I'll quit with this. The enemy hates human flourishing. He is doing everything he can. From the very beginning, the enemy has done everything he can to squash human flourishing. And it's working. And even Christians, even the church, by and large, seems to be at best neutral and sometimes hostile toward the thriving, flourishing creativity of men. And I think that's all the influence of the devil trying to get us to stop creating and making. Let's be different. Let's live out the mandate we've been given. Build something, make something, produce something, and look back on it with satisfaction. I did that. By God's grace and his strength, I took the stuff that he gave me and I made something out of it. There's a great sense of satisfaction in that. All right, well, our time is up. If there are specific things you want to talk about on Fridays with the fellas and facial hair days, let me know in the comments and we'll come back around to some of these. Have a great day, great weekend. Lord willing, we'll see you back on Monday morning. Take care.